higher IQ, they're more composed, they know where to send the ball, let the ball do a lot of the running for them. And they did just that. Everyone played their A game. So 8 different goal scorers. It just proves to show that for one Taguig, anyone can show up for the game and everyone has the capability of scoring those goals.
Jago, your take on the games right here, especially that one of one Taguig, yeah.
I think one Taguig will be especially happy because if you actually look at the league standings, they are in a really strong position coming into the last match days.
They top the table.
Yeah, they're gonna top the table. Maybe they have a game more. I believe played more than Manila Tiger, but just by one. But either way, they're gonna end round 1 in a really strong position. Let's remember their only loss came to Manila Digger, and if your only loss is gonna come to a team like that, it's not the worst thing in the world because they also beat Kaya. They've beaten Cebu, they've beaten Aguilas, they've beaten Maharlika. That is a really, really good record so far in the league. And as Natasha said, they have so many experienced players. They just out-experienced Tuloy,
Yeah.
out-wisdomed Tuloy in that match. And you could see, even when they scored, in a way they show respect to Tuloy because they go back to the center circle right away and restarted the match right away. Sometimes they'd even get the ball out of the net themselves to start the match because they want to really bolster their goal difference. Of course, it could be a factor also later at some point in the season. That's why a lot of big teams are doing that when they score a lot of goals. But yeah, TAGUIG are going to end round one in a really fantastic position. And credit to them because a lot of question marks were over them when the season started. A lot of question marks might still be over them towards the end of round one. But either way, if you're going to look at the table itself, they're in a really good spot.
Yeah. Props to TAGUIG. I'm pretty sad though. We didn't get our mandatory Tuloy FC highlight. Oh man. I expected that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, na-spoil na tayo eh. But before the game, I got to have a light moment with Boss Dan Palami. He asked me, how often do you nail your predictions? I'm like, oh wow, Boss Dan, that's a good question. That's a good question. I go, maybe about 40%. But I said, but normally we're whining like, oh man, we didn't get it. Kayo, how are you with predictions lately?
For me, I think the only game I got wrong was the Kaya Manila Digger game. So unfortunately, I am not perfect. And actually, I think even though I got one game wrong last weekend, I think that's really one of the better performances from me because I usually get a lot more wrong in my predictions. But yeah, we make those predictions for a reason, and it's also to have fun whenever you get surprised in football.
We do it to get burned.
Actually, I did. Diego asked me to make to be one of the people to have the predictions for this week.
It's fun.
Weekend and for the past weekend, and I got all my predictions right. But I just asked, can you not add me to the ones there? But I did send him one, and I got all the predictions right.
When we get the message, of course, you're up to make predictions. Good luck. I
We'll
remember.
start counting second round.
We'll do the points, right?
Oo nga
Direct Glenn?
pala.
Wait, when you say get predictions right, the whole thing or at least who wins?
For me, if you get the result right, you get a partial win. But if you get the
Exactly.
exact score,
Oh,
that
yeah.
should be like
That's like
That's true though. For the Tuloy
Yeah.
one, I said something like 7-2.
Yeah,
So I always
yeah.
expected, because you always expect Tuloy to score
Exactly,
goals, so I
right?
understand.
my guy John Lloyd Halike didn't deliver, unfortunately. But we know they're going to look to bounce back in the succeeding games. But we will carry on. Red card, yellow card, but it's a bit different this time around. But we will first take it to the table. Medyo excited ako. Yeah, TAGUIG leads the way now despite of them having matches on hand. Can we do let's call this a spot check. Top 6, yes or no? I mean, are we good here? Like our predictions? I think I have my top 6 right there. But the order, of course, a bit different. How about you guys? Do you feel someone has to be in the top 6, but they are not there, Jago?
I think this was also my top 6, but the obvious team that will want to spoil my top 6 prediction is Maharlika, who are sitting just outside at 7th. We'll move on to it later, but they have a good chance this weekend to do something about that. Nevertheless, it's starting to form the top 6 that you predict. Obviously, the order, not quite yet. But I think also for the first round, the order won't matter as much as it will when the second round ends. So it's not final yet. Again, there's gonna be a lot of changes still, of course, in round 2 and round 3. But this is my top 6, and they are in the top 6. So a bit not surprised with that, actually.
No, I'm
But
not
the good thing-
surprised.
Yeah, I was gonna-
I'm not surprised it's like this, but I expected some teams to be a bit higher. But I'm not taking anything away from TAGUIG, who's topping it right now. Oh,
But what I love about this one though is that that's how it's a strong indicator that this is going to be a good season, or that it's panning out to be a good season, because every week everything changes. No one's just sitting pretty at the top.
You love
Every
it.
game
Yeah.
it changes, and right now you see TAGUIG and Cebu are on top. Kaya and Manila Digger, who were the top 2 last year, are currently sitting 3rd and 4th. And you know that if Aguila still play, if Stallions still play, they can still go higher up the rankings as well.
That's what's nice, right? Because tandaan nga natin, may championship round, but your results carry over, so it's that really crazy marathon. And let's remember what's up for grabs again, other than number one picking up the title after 3 rounds. Number one will play in the ACL to qualifying playoff, and then in the Shopee Cup. The Shopee Cup, we're not so sure if it's a direct group stage or a qualifying playoff, right? Cebu had to go through the qualifying playoff. Number two will play in the qualifying playoff for the Challenge League. So that's pretty much what is up for grabs. And last year, again, just to remind everybody, we only had a point separating our top 2 teams. So that will pretty much continue. We'll get over, of course, to our next segment. It is not essentially hot takes, but do you say trick question? But anyway, it's something that gets all of us thinking. You get what I'm saying, trick question, right, Direk? If you had ₱1,000,000, what are you going to spend it on? Football video support or bringing fans to the stands? So for reference, football video support is a little similar to VAR. In VAR, you have a team of referees just watching the whole game. They're reviewing things here and there. I'm aware they can even interfere. But for football video support, I mean, I'll mention it since we're in the Philippines. It's similar to basketball where a coach will go and challenge. They have a card. So if you have football video support, they'll raise a card, and then it is the referee themselves who will go over and review the monitor. Walang support team, just someone to help them, of course, with the replay. Answers, of course. I can get the ball rolling if you guys want.
I think you should start. I think you should
I'm gonna
start.
jump
I
into
still
the
have time to figure it out.
Don't worry, I don't mind being a sacrificial lamb. Sa akin, bringing fans to the stands. Like, you use this for marketing, activations, not essentially giveaways, but you have all of these things to attract people.
Free jersey every match. Prediction on site.
Count me in. Free jersey? That's my weakness right there. Actually, a lot of us. But for me, I would do that, of course. Maybe part of it, education for fans, right? I'm gonna mention it already. My friend might kill me. Carson Gutierrez, what he'd do back in the day when he used to work with Davao Aguilas, right before they went on a break. He'd invite people from the surrounding barangays, and then he himself, and he'll get some of his friends, and then he's going to teach. They're going to teach the kids. Oh, this is what's going on. Teaching them about the game, and then hopefully, parang pagkain, you want that second serving, you want to keep going back, right? So it's an indoctrination of sorts. No need to pick a team, but hey, we're here to help you, show you how it works. So for me, that's how, yeah, I'd spend ₱1,000,000. I think that can go a long way. Hindi lang, we're gonna finish a 1,000,000 one go. This is something that could be really managed. Yeah. I mean, kung football jersey thing that the directors mentioned, I mean, it's kind of tough though. I'm gonna go. Who wants to go next?
Go ahead.
I go.
Go na, you're in the middle after all.
I think for this question, actually, there's an argument to be made na if you pick one, the other will follow it. Because you argue that if there's more fans,
You
can spend for FBS, and then if there's FBS, quality of the game is higher, more fans will be attracted. But if I had to choose one right away, if I had to blow my 1,000,000 in one go or not, in one of these options, it would also be bringing fans to the stands. I think you also feel it as commentators. It's so much of a boost to commentate over a game where it's loud, where people are shouting, not too inappropriately, but people are acting passionately, although not overtly so. It just makes the atmosphere in the ground, and also on stream when you're watching it, it makes it more intense, and by default, you feel every goal more, you feel every tackle more, you feel every 50-50 that goes your way or the other way more.
FC, I will be your commentator, Diego Cordero, for this one. It's, as I mentioned, the final weekend of the PFL before our Christmas and New Year break, where a lot of Philippine players will also be going to the SEA Games. So that is why we will have a 1-month hiatus. But before all of that, we will have this match here between Don Bosco Garelli United and One Taguig FC, a battle between two teams with really different fortunes so far in this PFL season. As the weather is continuing to heat up. Today, it's a nice condition actually for football because the wind has just slightly picked up in the last few minutes or so, but the humidity, you can really feel it on the pitch right now, and our players will definitely feel it once the game starts. But on to Don Bosco Garelli United, a team that sits at ninth place currently out of 11 teams. They only have 3 points, and that came from one win against Valenzuela PB Mendiola, and that, as of now, is still their only win in this season. Their keys to winning today's match or getting a good result in today's match is to slow the game down and remain resolute in the midfield, because that's what they've failed to do ever since that win against Valenzuela PB Mendiola. They won that match 2-1, but since then it's been constant losses across the whole league. But they already do have that win, so they've broken that duct, and they have the capabilities actually to score goals. They've scored against Kaya in their last match against a quote-unquote big team. As we see there, actually this is One Tagig's latest run of fixture, their opponent. But when talking about Don Bosco Garelli, they have scored against Kaya FC Iloilo, so they've scored against a big team before. But in terms of form, they're coming off an 8-0 loss to Stallion Laguna FC. That was a really tough loss because you could just see that once the game started, they were second best to everything. They were 4-0 down already at halftime. There is their results so far this season. They actually kept it close against Maharlika, and obviously they did get that win against Valenzuela PB Mendiola. But other than that, the results have been quite concerning if you're a Don Bosco Garelli United player. You can see they started the season on a bad note. A 3-0 loss against Tuloy, which is one of the teams you'd expect them to compete against. But since then, only 3 points have come. There is their lineup. 3 changes from their 8-0 loss to Stallion Laguna FC. But other than that, the usual suspects, Michael Brabi, Yamaguchi, and Embida are going to be in the lineup for this one. Coach Mike Daniel Riconala is hoping that he sees a better showing from his team to close off 2025 on a high note, because it's been a 2025 that's been quite down in terms of PFL action. Although Don Bosco Garelli United did also play in other competitions this year, they'd like to end the year on a high note, especially because their next game is actually going to be one where you'd favor them. It's going to be against Philippine Army, but more on that later. For Don Bosco Garelli United, they actually do have players with a lot of PFL experience. Again, they did make their PFL debut themselves as a club in the 2024 season. But one of those players to watch out for is going to be Yamaguchi, who is the player from Don Bosco Garelli United who has the most minutes among anybody in the entire squad. So he has a total of 540 minutes. But let's take it now also to the coaching interview of Don Bosco Garelli United.
We expect a very good game, probably a very physical game, because One Taguig, they played a very impressive first round, and we will not give them the win today. An easy win today, and we learned from our game from last week because we tried to attack more. That's left us a lot of openings. So we make sure this week we try to be more on compact. We go back to our roots and with our defense and then counter attack. So we hope to give the fans and of the PFL supporters, Don Bosco and One Taguig, a really great game today.
Defensive solidity, that's going to be the aim of the game for Don Bosco Garelli United. But going to the other side, it's going to be One Taguig FC, and it's a team that have completely taken over the PFL ever since the season started. I'm saying that because they actually started this weekend at first place, and should they get the win today, they will end the weekend and 2025 on a whole as the team currently on top of the PFL table. What a way to go into the Christmas break that would be. Keys to win for One Taguig FC, it would be to use their experience, because they have a lot of experience in their side, and it would be converting chances because they usually create a lot of chances in their matches. You see the likes of Hartman, Sooma, Olibias, they're all creative outlets in that One Taguig side. So it's no surprise that they create so many chances across all their games. They only had one loss so far this season. That came against Manila Digger. But other than that, they've been really good in this PFL. And yeah, you see their run of games here. They had a really hard start actually against Cebu FC and Aguilas, and they got 2 wins from that. Then came that sole loss, as I mentioned, to Manila Digger. But ever since, it's been undefeated and no goals conceded in any of those wins. Beat Kaya, and they were the first team in this PFL season to actually dethrone Kaya in terms of the winning streak that they had. So what a good season it's been for Taguig so far, and they're going to end round 1, should they win today, in a really good spot for the PFL. And moving on, you see their lineup here. There's only going to be one change from their 10-0 victory against Tuloy FC. That change is Ichiro Aoki coming in for Andres Aldeguer. Other than that, it's an unchanged lineup, and you see the likes of Sato, Reichelt, and as I mentioned earlier, Hartman. A lot of national team experience, a lot of PFL experience, and they've been given the start yet again today by head coach Arvin J. Soliman. Just want to mention though that Coach Scott Cooper is actually still in the dugout for Taguig FC, although we've heard from other sources that he will be stepping into a technical advisor role, and that's why he's remained with the team for now. Moving on to Taguig's player to watch, we've highlighted Naoto Hiraishi. Again, there are a lot of highlights or highlighted players from this Taguig side, but he is one of them because he has been really good and really lethal in their attack so far. So he has 6 goals this season. So he's not the team's top goal scorer. That title currently belongs to Reichelt, but he already has a lot of goals in this PFL season, and you wouldn't be surprised if he adds to his tally this afternoon, especially given the fact that Taguig usually create a lot of chances in all of their PFL games. Let's take a moment now to listen to the coaching staff of the Taguig team.
Coach Darren from Taguig. Looking forward to the game today. We're playing against Garelli, a team that I have a lot of respect for. I think that they've been putting in good performances, and it's difficult sometimes when you're in that mid to low table because you've almost got to play 2 squads, but one squad that can come out and play very physical against teams like us, and then other teams sometimes play very physical against teams like us, and then other teams sometimes they can play a little bit more tactical, moving the ball a little bit more. But I think today will be a very physical opponent. Physically, they're a strong team, so we've got to make sure that we keep our composure, play football, and we don't want to drag this into a physical battle today.
There you have it, Coach Darren Hartman, who is also an assistant in the Taguig FC coaching staff. There he is paying a lot of respect to Don Bosco Garelli United, but he knows that Taguig, the onus to control the match, is going to be with them. There you have it. That is our match number 49 of the 2025 to 2026 PFL season previewed. It's going to be once again Don Bosco Garelli United versus Taguig FC. Again, I'm going to be your commentator, Diego Cordero, for this one. This is the last Sunday of 2025 where we'll see PFL action because of course we will have the SEA Games break. And speaking of the SEA Games break, there are actually a lot of PFL players in that squad, you'd assume, because of the age brackets. Again, I did mention the table currently looking like 2 separate leagues at the moment. You have the race for the top 6, and then those in the classification spots still at the bottom of the table. So 2 teams from those 2 different sections of the league table. Again, Taguig FC started the weekend at first place, and they can end the weekend in 2025 as a whole on top. And that would send a real message to the likes of Kaya, Manila Digger, and even Cebu as we get a little bit of thunder here at the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium. The wind just starting to pick up a little bit, but all signals are that the match will go ahead. Again, it's going to be a bit tough for Don Bosco Garelli to get something out of this match. They have a minus goal difference of minus 26. That is a lot of goals conceded. And meanwhile, Taguig, they actually have the best goal difference across the whole PFL. So that's a goal difference better than Kaya's, better than Cebu's, and better than Manila Diggers. They have a plus goal difference of, I'll confirm this later, but I believe it's plus 37. But what I'm also sure of is that they have the least goals conceded and the most goals scored in the entire league, and that's a testament to their defense, midfield, and attack, because they are a really well-drilled team, and you've seen it in all of their matches, barring that loss to Manila Digger, which, to be fair to One Taguig, they've bounced back from, because it's been perfect ever since then. And I remember especially Patrick Reichelt saying that they really didn't believe that match was a true reflection of their talent as we take it to the margin between the two teams. The two team captains standing with our match officials, that's Daisuke Sato and Banjo Mahinay with our refereeing team. Our main referee is John Mike Basinang. He will be assisted by KB Nanyola and Romario De La Cruz. Yung fourth official ay si Chrismel Kayabyab. The referee assessor is Ariel Montana, and the match refereeing team for this match as we approach kickoff here between the BOSCO GARELLI United and One Taguig FC. United from left to right. Meanwhile, One Taguig will be in their all-white jersey, kicking from right to left as we get another look at our starting 11 for Don Bosco United. 3 changes from their 8-0 loss to Stallion Laguna FC. Coach Mike Daniel Riconalya will be hoping that those 3 changes are effective in this one as they face another big team in the PFL. Perhaps the biggest team so far this PFL season, because One Taguig have been quite the force to deal with. For One Taguig, on the other hand, only 1 change from that 10-0 victory over Tuloy. That's Andres Aldeguer out for Ayong. You see that the quality still remains high, and the overall bench and squad of One Taguig is really deep. Slight that could prove problematic should they make changes in Victor Reichelt to kick things off. Patrick coming off his debut as assistant manager of Philippine men's national team. They got a 2-0 victory away at Maldives, but he's back here with One Taguig FC. And we are underway. It could be One Taguig to start things off with their early possession, as expected. Physical play already there in the midfield. Reichelt hits the deck, but the referee is not going to call any foul. And Bida is going to try to carry the ball forward, but he just runs into Stephen Halm. Stephen Halm, who, by the way, is a new signing this season, but he hasn't played like he had to adjust because he's slotted right into that one-to-gig system. And that's a testament to how good Stephen Halm is as a player, as a center back. Here he is on the ball, the number 55, formerly with Stallion Laguna FC, now with one-to-gig FC. He's going to go for the long diagonal, looking for Oli Bias. That's headed out by Ariola for a throw-in. But you can see the early possession, unsurprisingly, is with one-to-gig. And they're going to dominate territory as well because they've just pushed Don Bosco Garelli United back into their defensive third. You'd expect a lot of this type of play. Trying to combine with Hiraishi, two players with Japanese roots, plays for the Philippines, but he has that upbringing in Japan as well. Long ball forward, is looking for Sato. It's eventually cleared out. It's actually stayed in play, according to our linesman. Here's Mark Hartman just dropping into the back line to pick up the ball and dictate play. Mark Hartman, a player that can start and also finish attacks with his passing range and ball striking. Hartman once again. He's going to go for the switch to Reichelt. Good touch by Reichelt. Looking for Hiraishi down the middle. Eventually cleared away, but the ball still with one-to-gig. Agiemang is tripped, but no foul will be called by referee John Mike Basinang, and Don Bosco are going to escape that pressure. They need to withstand this pressure, you'd imagine, because a lot of it is going to come. They might actually have a chance to go forward here, though. This is Clarinho trying to find Mbida, but Akoto expertly intercepts that pass. And here's Hiraishi. Agiemang, back to Hiraishi. Now to Reichelt, peeling out wide. Reichelt's going to go for the cross, looking for a teammate. It was met by a center back from Don Bosco, but they're unable to keep possession for more than a few seconds, and it's back once again to one-to-gig. Sato. Oh, miscommunication there from Don Bosco. Eventually, second time around, they get to clear the ball. It's a very, very deep, low block from Don Bosco. It looks like a 5-4-1. Just trying to plug all the gaps and spaces that one-to-gig want to operate in. Might have a chance to go forward here, though. This is Arañas up against Stephen Halm, being pulled out wide. It's kept in play. Eventually, Arañas is just overcrowded and loses the ball. But that was once or twice now that Don Bosco have just asked questions of the fullbacks of one-to-gig. The aim for Don Bosco is really clear. It's to sit in this 4 or 5-4 one deep block and hit. Hiraishi down the left. He's gonna go for the early cross. Cleared out. This 4-5-1 or 5-4-1 rather of Don Bosco Garelli. This is what they were missing against Stallion, because they were just a little bit too open against Stallion. And that's why Finn McDaniel got 4 goals and Stallion altogether got 8 last weekend. It's a good shape from Don Bosco. You can see their midfield line and defensive line really compact. They're close together, so there's not a lot of space for one-to-gig to operate in. Mark Hartman is going to win a foul. And this might be an area where one-to-gig can bypass the low block of Don Bosco Garelli, because they're going to have a set piece. And they're going to have Mark Hartman, who's deadly on set pieces, to deliver it. Early cross looking for Agiemang. Akoto! Offside flag was up for the initial header from Agiemang, so nothing would have counted there. But I was mentioning Mark Hartman is going to be key to unlocking this low block of Don Bosco Garelli United with his set pieces from corners and free kicks. because he has the passing range to unlock a defense. Don Bosco trying to go direct. It's a big ask though of Mbida because he's gonna have to win those aerial duels against Akoto and Stephen Halm, a center-back duo that has been at the heart of the best defense in the PFL so far. Mbida is gonna challenge Akoto and win that aerial duel. He's gonna have to go up against Stephen Halm now. Mbida is won back by Sooma, or Olibias rather. Olibias is being deployed as the right back of Taguig, so that's not where he's usually played all his career, but it's a position he now finds himself really familiar in, despite the fact that he grew up playing as a winger for ADT and in the German ranks. Before that, he played in the RB Leipzig youth setup and made one appearance for the senior team in a Europa League qualifier. He came on for Ibrahima Konate, who's now a Liverpool player. And Olibias now finds himself in Taguig. That's a foul by Hiraishi, who had something to say to Traore. Don Bosco Garelli United, after 8 minutes against Stallion Laguna FC, they conceded their first goal, or Stallion's first goal rather. So they'll be hoping that this time around it's a different story. I'm sure if you're the coaching staff of Don Bosco, the game is going to be to take it step by step. Can you get to the first 15 minutes with a clean sheet, then the next 10 minutes after that with another clean sheet, and then eventually start building your way forwards? That's going to be the game, or the aim rather, for Don Bosco in this match, because they can't just get too ahead of themselves and start pouring bodies forward when you have players like Taguigs who can hit you in the transition. Aoki, good run. It's picked up by Mark Hartman. He's going to go for the early cross, looking for Agiemang. And that's a foul because Ishii already caught the ball and Agiemang just barged into him. Shotaro Ishii didn't play last week actually against Stallion Laguna FC. I'm sure the message he would have said to himself was that he wants to prove himself in this match because he's now back as the starter. Don Bosco Garelli have a foreign goalkeeper. They have 6 foreigners on the pitch, which is the maximum any PFL team can have. I'm saying it's being done by Taguig. They also have a foreign goalkeeper. For those of you who aren't aware, the rule is 5+1, which means that you can have 5 foreigners on your team on the pitch. But if you want to have a 6th, then it must be in the goalkeeping position. So that's the rule we have in the PFL for foreign players. And that rule is also, it also says that on the bench and in the reserve squad, you can actually have an unlimited amount of foreigners. So it doesn't matter there, it just matters how many are on the field once play starts. So Don Bosco Garelli United are gonna reach the 9th minute without conceding a goal. That's already better than their performance against Stallion in the opening half. Bida having to do a lot of tracking. He is their top goal scorer with 2 goals. One of those came against Kaya. It was actually a really good header. Don Bosco only have 3 goals this season, 2 from Mbida, the other one coming from Yamaguchi. 2 of those goals came in that win against Valenzuela PB Mediola, which as of now remains Don Bosco Garelli's only win this season. They did have a match cancelled actually against Manila Digger because of the recent typhoon. So their round 1 will technically not end until whenever that match is played. And round 1 actually won't end until the last match week, which is in the middle of January, which is when we resume after the Christmas break. Don Bosco Garelli's team there is against Philippine Army, which is a match they might actually fancy winning. Something that they haven't said much of this season. Hartman looking at Bias. Bias, despite the fact that he's a fullback, he's been given the license to play like a winger and push the backline further back of Don Bosco. Here's Hiraishi. Stephen Halm. Patient play from Montague, but it's also good defensive shape from Don Bosco. Sato. Looking for Reichel. It's going to fall to Agyemang. No offside. Sato once again. Just a lot of traffic in front of Montague at the moment. Hiraishi. Combining with Sato. He's going to dig out the cross. But it's cleared by Don Bosco. And the clearance from Embida went backwards. He's asking for the foul from the referee. But John Mike Basinang is not going to give it. 11 minutes now, still a clean sheet for Don Bosco Garelli United. You have to take this as a silver lining because it's not been too common for Don Bosco against a big team this season to remain resolute. Chance maybe here. Here's Embida. Good defensive contribution from Sooma. Another one of the Japanese influenced in Montague. Here's Reichel stretching the back line. Keeps it in play, finds Ichiro Aoki. Stephen Halm. Again, this 5-4-1 shape of Don Bosco, just asking a lot of questions of Montague. In terms of possession, they're happy to surrender it, but in terms of territory, they're really camping that low block. And it just means there's not a lot of space for Montague to penetrate. Here's Sato though. Early cross looking for a teammate, but that's straight to Ishii. Ishii, not the tallest of goalkeepers, but is a pretty decent shot stopper. Shotaro Ishii clearly going long every time he gets the ball. They don't want to invite that Montague press because it's a really powerful press, but that pass from Ishii is actually straight to his compatriot in Hiraishi. Daisuke Sato. Out wide to Hiraishi. Reichel has been quite isolated so far, so he's having to drop quite deep to get involved in play. Here's Embida. Good possession from Don Bosco just to alleviate some of that intense pressure from Montague. Bubakar, or Babakar rather. Mahinay. He's gonna go long, looking for Embida. It's a good pass. But Embida's unable to find a teammate. Could have taken a touch there actually. Embida holding his hand up in apology. I think that's what the coaching staff also said. He could have taken a touch there and progressed up the pitch. Here's Mark Hartman. Olibias. Throw in to Don Bosco. It looks like they're going to reach the 15-minute mark with that clean sheet. So they've survived the early onslaught from Montague FC. Ariola will take the throw in. Chance to go forward for Don Bosco. Crucial intervention there from Stephen Halm because an attack was building for Don Bosco. Here's Hiraishi. Some space to operate in. Cuts inside. He's going to go for the shot. It's blocked. And Don Bosco are able to settle back into this 5-4-1. Hartman looking for Agyemang. Good clearance from Bangi. Daisuke Sato is asking for a high boot there because he headed that and also nearly got clipped by Aranyas. But the referee not giving it. The referee, John Mike Basining, actually doing a good job of letting the game flow a little bit. There's not been too many fouls that I can recall. Akoto, by the way, has 3 goals already, and the biggest of them coming against Kaya. That was the game winner when Taguig beat Kaya 1-0. That was off a corner kick which Mark Hartman assisted. Here's Daisuke Sato, some space, drives into the box. Eventually it's cleared by Don Bosco. That was the moment there where Daisuke Sato, for 1 second, it looked like he was going to be in through on goal. He was asking for a teammate to offer themselves for that cross. Here we get to see the replay. Good first touch from Sato. Drives into the penalty box. Good strength also to hold off Aranyas. But eventually it's cleared by Mahinay. It's going to be a Taguig corner, and they are really strong from these positions because of their height. A really tall team. It's sent in by Mark Hartman, and it's going to be met by a Taguig head. It looked like Patrick Reichelt. And once again, Mark Hartman with an assist. He's now on 10 assists this season, which ties him as the PFL's top assister. Really good in-swinging corner to Reichelt, and the touch beat Ishii. Reichelt gets his 8th goal of the PFL season. The delivery from Hartman is so hard to deal with because the curl makes it hard to judge as a defender. And I recall mentioning earlier that set pieces were going to be one of Taguig's best ways of unlocking this deep block from Don Bosco. And it's a corner kick that does the job for Taguig. So it's now 1-0 after 17 minutes. And no surprise, it's Patrick Reichelt who's continuing to add to his goal tally. Patrick Reichelt, I'm sure, is also thinking about that Golden Boot race. That race is currently being won by Finn McDaniel, but I'm sure Reichelt will have more to say in that race. He's actually the 3rd top goal scorer, still also behind Saiku Sise of Manila Digger. But the season is still early, so the Golden Boot race still has a long way to go. Hartman looking for Hiraishi, but it's cleared. Don Bosco Garelli United have to be careful now because their game plan, which was to remain compact, is going to have to change a little bit because now that they're behind, they're going to have to attack more. But when you attack more, you're also going to leave space in behind your defense. So it's going to be a tough proposition for Don Bosco. Here's Bias, early cross. Agyemang met it, but the header was over the goal. Isaac Agyemang, a really tall player, so it's no surprise whenever Taguig get crossing opportunities, they flood the box. And Agyemang is one of those players to aim at if you're crossing. Taguig will be happy that they found a way to unlock that deep block. And it just means also that they can control the game from this authoritative position. And Bosco are going to try to play out. That's a foul by Sooma on Aranyas. Sooma, not the biggest midfielder, but he makes up for it with his game intelligence and his passing range. Was previously with Aguilas before eventually moving to Taguig. Also has experience in the Cambodian League, just a high level of football in Southeast Asia. So it's nice to see also that PFL is getting a lot of quality players from all sorts of places. By the way, don't think I've mentioned him yet once. But Milos Kupic, the goalkeeper of Taguig, is yet to touch the ball. If my records are correct, here's Reichelt, goal scorer. But just speaking on Milos Kupic, he's actually on 5 clean sheets. So that's tied with Alfredo Cortez for the Golden Glove race. Kupic, though, has a higher clean sheet percentage, 83.3%. That's the highest in the entire PFL. Because Cortez, while he has the same amount of clean sheets, he's played 2 games extra. And that's why that percentage belongs to Milos Kupic, who I'm sure is thinking about that Golden Glove at the end of the season. And again, I did mention Taguig have the best defense in the whole league. 2 goals conceded. One of those came against that loss against Manila Digger, and the other one was a consolation goal conceded to Cebu. It was Rico Andes who got that goal. Other than that, the defense of the Taguig-based team has been absolutely perfect. So Oma. Taguig playing this passing game. Reichelt dropping in. He's not being followed by the center backs. Center backs giving control to the midfield in terms of guarding Reichelt whenever he drops. Just causing problems actually for Don Bosco Garelli. Because when Reichelt does drop, no one's sure as to who should pick him up. But that's actually Embida who tackled Reichelt there. Won back the ball for Don Bosco. That's a foul though on Aoki. I think that was Clarino, over eager to win that challenge. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in, 1-0 is the scoreline in favor of Taguig. Goal via Patrick Reichelt from a corner kick taken by Mark Hartman. And I'm your commentator, Diego Cordero, for this one. Also, don't forget that Sports Tribe is the official ball provider of the PFL. Hiraishi. It's going to be double teamed, but still works out the cross. So Oma will get to this. Eventually, it's with Ishii, the goalkeeper. But Hiraishi, despite the fact that he was double teamed, was still able to manufacture the cross with his left foot. Such talent down the left wing of Taguig. Again, despite the fact that this is the last PFL weekend of the year, still a lot of football action and futsal action to look forward to. Of course, we have the FIFA Futsal Women's World Cup ongoing right now. The Philippines eliminated, but had that campaign, that memorable campaign. Finished last in the group, but the atmospheres in all of their games were excellent. Of course, the tournament is still ongoing as we enter the knockout stages of the first ever FIFA Futsal Women's World Cup. And yes, it's the first ever. And it's being hosted in the Philippines. To be specific, it's being hosted in Pasig City. Get your tickets at fifa.com/tickets if you want to catch more futsal action. Don Bosco trying to start an attack there, but Mark Hartman, good read of the game. Aoki. Olibias just overran it a little bit, but he keeps possession of the ball. Hartman, Agyemang, looking for Reichelt. Reichelt is not going to be able to reach that return pass. Stephen Halm, space to drive into for the center back. Looking for Hiraishi, but that pass was cut out by Arañas. The counter pressure from Taguig is really good. You can see whenever they lose the ball, within 4 or 5 seconds, there are 4 or 5 white shirts just swarming the orange shirts. Mentality of this Taguig side really strong. They win. Akoto was just taken down in that. So it's gonna be another free kick to Don Bosco Garelli, or to Taguig rather, against Don Bosco. And No surprise, it's going to be Mark Hartman once again to take this delivery. It's actually a very deep back line for Don Bosco. It's going to be sent in by Mark Hartman. They tried to go short, but the referee didn't allow it. Hartman's delivery. Looking for Reichelt once again, the combination that worked for that opening goal. Didn't work this time around though. It's back with Mark Hartman. Diagonal looking for Reichelt. That's a very smart header back actually from Mahina back to his goalkeeper. A bit risky actually, but looked like he knew what he was doing. Pressure from Sato. Trying to find Reichelt. The pass was just overhit though. If Daisuke Sato got that pass correct, Reichelt would have been one-on-one against the goalkeeper. Dangerous for Don Bosco. Don Bosco are going to look for that diagonal to Arañas, but Sato is going to take a lot more to beat him. The team captain of Taguig. Also want to give a shout out to the Minsan Football Show. We'll have one more episode before 2025 wraps up. Our last episode was supposedly the year-ender. We'll have one more just to close things off for 2025. So do tune into that. That will happen on Thursday. Hiraishi. Sato is going to go for the first time cross. Looking for Patrick Reichel, but it's overhit. It's going to be a goal kick to Don Bosco. The action at Rizal Memorial Stadium for PFL will stop this weekend, but it won't stop for football in general because on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday to be specific, we also have Cebu who'll be playing in their Shopee Cup game against Selangor. That will happen on Wednesday right here in the Rizal Memorial Stadium. And I believe Cebu also announced that the tickets for that game will be free. So I want to encourage everyone also to watch some international football here at Rizal, which will be the last action here in Rizal for the whole year. Hiraishi is going to win a corner kick. And we know what happened from the last corner kick. Unsurprisingly, it's going to be Mark Hartman once again to deliver this in. If you're Don Bosco, you have to keep a closer eye on Patrick Reichelt. But Patrick Reichelt is not the only aerial target in this team, because there's also Stephen Halm, Giemang, Akoto, who have also scored and been dominant via these aerial passes from Mark Hartman. Referee is just going to stop the game now to make sure there's not a lot of extracurriculars in the box. The referee is going to allow play to continue. Mark Hartman once again, similar delivery to the opening goal. This time, better goalkeeping from Ishii. Punching it over his net. I think this cross from Mark Hartman might have actually been creeping inside. Here's the replay. Mark Hartman's delivery, dangerous as ever. And yeah, it was towards Reichelt once again. Giemang bundled over, also looking for that follow-up. Mark Hartman will shift over to the other side. This time it's going to be an outswinger from the midfielder. It's going to be met by Sato. And it's in. And it's 2 corners and 2 goals. And 2 assists from Mark Hartman. And that now means that Mark Hartman leads the PFL in assists because he now has 11. But what a header from Daisuke Sato, the captain, leading by example. Near post header, catching the goalkeeper off guard. Sato didn't need to generate much power because the power already came from the cross. He just needed to get that touch on target as you see the celebration. And it's now 2-0 in favor of Taguig. The goal scorer is Sato. And Reichelt, along with the assist from Mark Hartman. Experience is winning the game at the moment for One Taguig. Don Bosco, after staying compact in the early parts of this game, are now 2 behind. And Milos Kupic has yet to be forced into action. Don Bosco Garelli United are going to want to change that for the rest of this match. Because at the moment, it's all One Taguig FC. Stephen Halm, clip ball to Sato. It's a bit too overhit though, and the left back is not going to reach that. But Daisuke Sato, despite the fact that he's listed as a defender, has tendencies to get into goal-scoring positions, and that's why he scored here. Sato, a player that is so well-traveled around world football. Played in Indonesia, Thailand, Romania even at one point, if I recall correctly. Has a lot of appearances for the national team. And his wisdom is helping One Taguig win this game at the moment. Don Bosco, their game plan is going to need to be improvised now, because at 2-0 down, you're going to have to chase the game, and it's going to be a really uphill battle. At the same time, if you want to stay compact, you're also going to continue to give One Taguig chances, as they're going to dominate possession. And the problem for Don Bosco is that when they do win back the ball, the pressure from One Taguig is so intense that they can barely get out of their box. And there you have it. One Taguig win it back. Agiemang, time and space. He's going to take the shot. It's wayward. But if you're Don Bosco Garelli United, you're going to be careful. You have to be careful. Because if you're going to afford space like that to Agiemang, eventually one of those shots is going to go on target. Interesting that Don Bosco are going to continue to opt to play short. Because whenever they do play short, it's an invitation letter to One Taguig just to apply that pressure that has been so effective for them in this match. Hartman, a rare misplayed pass, but somehow he still keeps possession of the ball. Mark Hartman, now a midfielder, but that wasn't where he always played, because some fans will recall him playing in the front line, sometimes even as a striker. As he approaches the twilight of his career, it's no surprise that he's now picking up that midfielder role, given his experience and his ability to dictate play like he is doing here. Reichelt once again dropping deep, because it's causing problems for Don Bosco. No one knows who should follow Reichelt into that midfield area. So Oma's going to look for Hiraishi. Hiraishi's going to get there just about. Sent in. Touched by Ishii, but the chance is still on. Olibias is going to recycle across towards Sato. It's in for 3-0. Agiemang assisted by Sato. And at 34 minutes, One Taguig FC are going to put this game really far out of sight for Don Bosco. Look at that header from Sato. Just gave Agiemang a chance. And with his height, he just nods it into the back of the net. Agiemang, you can see the physical presence that he brings to this team. He was challenged for that header, but with his height alone, he won that aerial duel. And it was headed into an empty net. And it's now 3-0. And this is exactly what One Taguig would have wanted to close out 2025. And as things stand, One Taguig are going to end 2025 as the team on top of the PFL. Montaguig's next match, it's actually an interesting match. Their next match in January is against Stallion Laguna FC. That's going to be a really good match. And a test for Montaguig to see if they can continue their fine form. Stallion coming off that heartbreaking loss to Maharlika that happened last night. They lost 3-1. So Stallion are actually going to end 2025 not in the top 6. Can you believe it? Oh, given away there. So Oma is going to make it 4. No! Went for the lob and more power. Definitely would have beaten Ishii. But Ishii is going to be grateful that there wasn't enough power for that shot. Powerful header by Sato. But just as I was saying, Montaguig up against Stallion next. Stallion outside of the top 6. That's how tight the race has been for the top 6 this season. Really entertaining stuff if you're a neutral fan. And for those of you who missed it, yesterday we also had 3 PFL matches. We had Manila Digger beating Philippine Army, Cebu beating Valenzuela PB Mendiola, and as I already mentioned, Maharlika finally beating a big team. They'll feel that it was long overdue. And they got that win against Stallion to end 2025 inside the championship group. Of course, we still have one more round of football before the 2 parts of the league go separate. But nonetheless, you want to end the year on a high note. And you want to end the year with the bragging rights to say that you are in the upper part of the PFL. And as things stand, Montaguig are going to be the team with the most bragging rights. Aoki, Agiemang. It's going to fall back to Aoki. Nearly made it 4-0. But he just dragged this shot wide. Actually, there was a deflection. I'd love to get a replay of this to see who got the final touch. There was the chance from So Oma. You can see his frustration. He expected himself to score there. Here was the shot from Aoki. It was deflected wide by Traore. Again, it's going to be Mark Hartman for this delivery. Hartman into play. It's going to be another goal, is it? Not quiet, but uncertain once again from Don Bosco. Hartman inside once again, looking for Hum. Better punch from Shotaro Ishii. Don Bosco are going to try to spring a counter. But really excellent defensive work by Agiemang. And that's the thing with Montaguig. They want to get as much goals as possible. When they need to defend well, they track back in numbers and they swarm the Don Bosco attack. Not too long now until halftime. Montaguig clearly want to make it 4. Hartman, he's been at the heart of all the good things Montaguig have done in this half. Agiemang, unable to find a teammate. Head coach Soliman and his coaching staff are gonna send a really strong message to the rest of the PFL. I say head coach Soliman because he's actually listed as the head coach of Montaguig at the moment. But Coach Scott Cooper is in the stands. It was clarified last week that his role with Montaguig will continue in a different light after he was announced as a head coach of another team in Cambodia. According to the clarification, Scott Cooper will continue in a technical advisor role for Montaguig, but his wisdom has definitely helped them nonetheless. Good recycle of possession there from Montaguig. Hartman's gonna go for the early shot straight into Traore. But we know Mark Hartman can hit those types of shots and get them into the back of the net. He's going to go for the diagonal now, looking for Hiraishi. It's met by Bangi. Embida, once again. One Taguig just swarm the Don Bosco attack, and I sound like a broken record because I've said that 3 or 4 times now. But it's just what's happening in the first half. Kept on happening, rather. So Oma, Hartman in the pocket, trying to combine with the right shot, not on the same page. Once again, Don Bosco are gonna try to play out. It's gonna go straight to Milos Kupic. The clearance is not that great from Kupic. One thing you have to get back quickly here. And Sato just does what you expect him to do. Even keeps it in play. So the attack is fizzling out for Don Bosco. And Don Bosco are going to end 2025 with less games played than their opponents in the league table because their match against Philippine Army, or their match against Manila Digger, was cancelled due to the recent typhoon. So they still have 2 more matches left in round 1. And their next game scheduled in January is against Philippine Army. You'd imagine if you're Don Bosco Garelli United, that would be a match you'd highlight as one of their biggest chances at getting another 3 points to put themselves on 6. Their first win came against Valenzuela PB Mendiola, a 2-1 victory a few weeks ago. Excellent play from Hartman. He's gonna find a Giemang, maybe. Good sweeper keeper action from Ishii. And Clarino is gonna win that ball. It was brought down from Bias. What a touch from Clarino. The Clarino you see on the pitch, of course, not the only Clarino that is prominent figure in Philippine football. Football runs through the family when it comes to the Clarinos, and that's a common trend actually in Philippine football. Of course, we have 2 Hartmans involved in this game right now. Cross is sent in, Embida, and that was Don Bosco's biggest chance yet, but it goes way over. Home run, some might say, as it went towards the baseball field of Rizal. At the moment, the clean sheet of Kupic is just gonna stay intact going into the halftime interval. Embida, the top scorer of Don Bosco, he's the player you want chances to fall to if you're the orange shirts. But he got it way over. Fourth official just confirmed that there will be only 1 minute of additional time. Not much has happened in this match in terms of stoppages. Referee John Mike Basinang doing a good job of letting the game flow. Also no yellow cards at the moment, so this game has flowed nicely. Embida trying to combine with Clarino. Clarino not on the same page. Agiemang trying to find Reichelt. Reichelt's gonna win it actually. No foul there. Reichelt binigay kay Aoki. That's going to be offside from Patrick Reichelt. And Traore has just gone down off the ball. Not too sure what happened there. Here's the replay of that offside call on Reichelt. Very tight actually. He was on par with Babacar. Traore, by the way, is going to need some treatment. So the physio of Don Bosco has ran onto the pitch. And by the way, I must say the physio of Don Bosco just absolutely sprinted onto the pitch, and he was rapid. Physio for a reason. Of course, do stay tuned everyone, because this match is not the only match we have today. Later at 7 p.m. we will have Tuloy FC versus Kaya FC Iloilo. Kaya coming off that loss in the Champions League 2, 5-3 against the Tampines Rovers from Singapore. And then Kaya actually not in the top of the table. Can you believe it? It's been a while since you could say that. So they're gonna wanna get a good win later, especially after losing last week as well to Manila Digger. That was such a big result with clear title implications. Just 30 seconds now until the halftime break. It's been a really good half for One Taguig. Don Bosco, you could say, had a good 15 minutes or so, and then the floodgates just opened. Same thing happened last week against Stallion Laguna FC at halftime break. Don Bosco were already down 4-0. They have a player down also. That is Michael Broppy, who hit the deck as we reach the 1 minute stoppage time. Again, goals courtesy of Patrick Reichelt, Daisuke Sato, and Isaac Agyemang. Hartman with 2 assists, and Sato with the assist for the 3rd goal. That's been the story of the first half, and that's why it's 3-0 to One Taguig FC. Again, I'm your commentator, Diego Cordero, bringing this one to you for the last Sunday of PFL 2025. Of course, we will resume in January, and the season will be non-stop from there. Also because there are no international breaks in that early part of 2025. But there you have it. The referee has blown the halftime whistle. And One Taguig are going to be ecstatic with the way they performed in that first half. Don Bosco are going to need to regroup and go back to the drawing board in the next 15 minutes or so. Because something needs to change if you're Don Bosco. But this half has been One Taguig's. And it's One Taguig's to lose, because they are 3-0 up going into the halftime break. Stay tuned for the second half. Again, this is Diego Cordero for the PFL. business as usual for One Taguig FC over Don Bosco Garelli United. They lead 3-0. Goals from Reichelt Daisugasato and Isaac Agemang are the reason why there have been 3 goals in the first half. As we take a look at the first half highlights, Patrick Reichelt got things started off a corner kick from Mark Hartman, a near post header, and the same was done by Daisuke Sato from the other side, and that was Hartman's second assist as well, and Hartman is also now the league's top assister. Here was the third goal, Sato with the header that gave Agemang a chance to nod this into an empty net, using his height and physical presence to his advantage. No chance whatsoever for the backline and goalkeeper of Don Bosco Garelli United. That's been the story of the first half. Chances falling constantly to One Taguig, who could have made it 4 on a few occasions. They'll have many more chances to do that in the second half should things stay the same. As we take a look at the stats, possession, as you'd expect, with One Taguig 61% to 39%. The shot count tells you the full story of the first half. 15-1, 12 being on target. 3 corners for One Taguig, and they've taken advantage of 2 of those. Meanwhile, the game has had 8 fouls all in all, but otherwise been pretty free-flowing and not many stoppages because we only had 1 minute of stoppage time. And that's been the story of the first half and match number 49 of the PFL. One Taguig, as things stand, are going to enter Christmas and New Year break as the team first place as we approach one more match day of round 1. And One Taguig, you'd say, been quite a force to deal with in this PFL. The only team to have answered the puzzle that's been One Taguig is Manila Digger. But even then, it's One Taguig who are on top of the table because Manila Digger also had a few draws here and there. That's why at the moment One Taguig are going to sit at the top of the table and they're going to be on top of the food chain. They also have the best goal difference in the whole league. So if goal difference should become a tiebreaker somewhere down the road, the favor is with One Taguig if they continue doing what they're doing this season. Looks like we'll have a couple changes. We'll confirm for what team and for which individuals. Again, this is your commentator, Diego Cordero, bringing you the action from match number 49. Don Bosco Garelli United ready to start the second half. Still no sign of One Taguig FC. Taking their time. No urgency from them because, of course, they are 3-0 up. Coach Arvin J. Soliman will be really happy the way his team has performed in the first half. I say Coach Soliman because he's listed as the team's head coach at the moment, but Coach Scott Cooper is still with the delegation as of now. Meanwhile, Coach Mike Daniel Riconalya from Don Bosco Garelli United is going to have to change things up in order to have a better second half than the first half. And One Taguig are back out for the second half. Don Bosco Garelli United will be in their all-orange jerseys, kicking from right to left, while One Taguig going the other way will be in their all-white jerseys. And I must say also, the One Taguig jerseys, quite nice. Definitely a contender as well for best jersey in the PFL, but I'm sure other teams will have something to say about that. And do remember that Sports Tribe is the official match ball of the PFL. Also, don't forget to catch more FIFA Futsal Women's World Cup action. Find tickets at fifa.com/tickets. Also want to plug the Minsan Football Show. We'll have one more episode, hour 12, before the year ends this Thursday. And the reason why we're going to move it a day later than usual is because on Wednesday night, all eyes will be on the Shopee Cup when Cebu play right here in the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium against Selangor. That will be their third matchup in the Shopee Cup. And they'll be hoping to get their first points on the board in their Shopee Cup campaign. So it's more international football here at Rizal Memorial Football Stadium. A lot of football to be played here for the rest of this season. Still have one more round for the PFL before the league splits. into the third round separation league. So a lot of stuff to come your way if you're a Philippine football fan. There was a change for both teams. We'll await confirmation as to who. Looks like Casemiro for one ticket is going to come off the bench. And for Don Bosco, Mbida, their top scorer with 2 goals, is going to come off. And Desmond Tuliaga in the number 8 is going to come on. Tagiema who makes way for one ticket. So he's going to end the afternoon early, but has a goal to his name, so he'll be happy nonetheless. But Casemiro, if you're Don Bosco Garelli United, Casemiro is also a tough player to watch out for. Such a technical, gifted player, and also has a physical, imposing presence. Here he is on the ball right now. Casemiro driving forward. He's gonna find Aoki. Will he keep this in? Great acceleration from the Japanese player. Crossed in towards Reichelt. Or that was Casemiro rather, not Reichelt. And Casemiro nearly marking his introduction to the second half with a goal. Not even 1 minute in. Great cross from Aoki. Ishii, the goalkeeper of Don Bosco, misjudging the trajectory of that ball, so it left the net open for Casemiro. You'd imagine if it was on target, would have gone into the back of the net. Here he is again, trying to combine with the Reichelt. That's a bit too high for Reichelt though. Trier is gonna knock it back to Ishii. Ariola looking for Clarino, but that pass is not going to give Clarino any chance. 2 balls on the pitch at the moment. Olibias will eventually restart play. Olibias playing as the team's right back, but given the nature of his game, still taking up positions like a winger, which he is naturally. Mark Hartman, just given the license to roam wherever he deems necessary. Here's Reichelt. Combining with BS, the 2 Filipino Germans on the pitch for one to gig. Crossed by Mark Hartman. Is going to find Hiraishi. Hiraishi, tough shot. Was going away from goal. Good footwork there. And the nutmeg. Good play from Michael Broby, but eventually it amounts to nothing as Don Bosco were unable to escape the counter pressure of one digging, and that's been the story of the first half as well. Oh, Casemiro is clipped by Broby. Is this the game's first yellow card? Referee John Mike Basinang is going to give lenient reminders to Broby. That was a really late tackle, I must say, and Casemiro was floored. He's okay though. And there's a high five between the two. Good sportsmanship there. Mark Hartman. Binigay kay Olibias. Reichelt guarded closely. So Oma looking for Hiraishi. The first touch just a little bit too heavy. The number 88 unable to take it into his stride. So Don Bosco Garelli United are going to escape that moment of danger. Don Bosco only have a solitary win this PFL season that came against Mendiola. They actually kept it close as well against Maharlika. They only lost 1-0, but they were in that match right until the dying moments. Couldn't take advantage of it. However, Olibias driving in field, just caught by Broby. The problem for Don Bosco is that when they do win back possession, they're so deep that there's no out ball in their final third. Chance maybe here though. Here's Clarino, and he's crowded out by a combination of Halm and Hartman. Bosco. Yet to really test Milos Kupic. They'll be hoping that that's a theme that changes right now. Shot was taken by Ingay. But that volley was really ambitious from quite a tight angle. The wind starting to pick up here at the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium. Makes the conditions a little bit different. It was scorching earlier, now it's a little bit cloudy. But at least it means it's not as hot. Reichel just took an elbow to the face. But he looks okay. Reichel, of course, now the assistant team manager of the Philippine men's national football team, which he retired from last December. But no surprise, he's already back with the team. This time in a different capacity. Clarino wasn't anticipating that pass. Here's Hartman, dangerous position. Crossed in towards Reichel. And he got the touch, but not the direction. But what about that chipped pass from Mark Hartman? So perfectly weighted into the running path of Patrick Reichel. Look at that pass. Ishii came out but didn't beat it. And he's lucky that Reichel was unable to find the target. This time, Don Bosco are gonna opt to play it long to try and bypass the pressure of Taguig, but they lose the first aerial ball anyway. So it's back with Taguig. Hartman, Sooma. Hartman, first time cross, it's a bit too low, but it's met by Casemiro nonetheless. Ariola and Aoki going at it. Taguig FC eager to get more goals in this matchup. They already have the best goal difference in the whole league, but they want to improve it further. Don Bosco going the other way. Straight though at Stephen Halm. Here's Hartman. Is he onside? He is. Reichelt rather, through on goal. That's a penalty. And that's a last man challenge. There haven't been any cards in this match, but I'm curious what the color of this card is going to be. Sato, great pass to Reichelt. My apologies, not Hartman. And I'm still awaiting what color this card is going to be because it was a clear last man challenge. Confirmation from the fourth official, it's going to be a yellow card. Very lenient there for Babacar not to get sent off, because we've seen those given as reds. Even though it's going to be Reichel to take a penalty. And there are usually only one outcome from this type of scenario. Ishii is going to have to try and save a penalty from Reichel. That's a really tough proposition for any goalkeeper. Can Reichel make it 4-0 to Taguig FC here in the 53rd minute? The answer is an emphatic yes from Patrick Reichel. 4-0 to Taguig FC. And Reichel is going to get his second trick. He won the penalty and converted it. Excellent penalty, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. The stutter just threw off the goalkeeper. You can see the stutter right here. And Ishii, or the goalkeeper. 35 minutes or so for Patrick Reichel to get his hat-trick. Already on a brace. Also got a brace last week against Loy. Reichelt currently on 9 goals. Third in the Golden Boot race behind Saiku Sise and Finn McDaniel, with another 2 rounds of football to go. You imagine he will be up in that race for sure. Reichelt is continuing to prove that for him, at least, age is just a number. And Don Bosco are finding themselves in a situation that, unfortunately for them, they've been familiar with already this season, being behind by a good number of goals against big teams. Aoki, the recent goal scorer, Reichelt. So Oma shouts of man on from the One-Tigig bench. And Don Bosco just a little bit stunned after going behind in the second half, down to 4. Aoki is gonna find Casemiro. Bounced off Ariola, and Ariola actually goes down after that. Ball to the face. For those of you who've played football at any level, you'll know that ball to a face. You'll be feeling that one for quite some time. Momentary breather for the two teams. Here was that sequence. So Aoki got the first touch, went for the early cross. Ariola tried to go for the clearance. And the clearance bounced off Casemiro, and it's a nasty ball-to-face play. Ariola does look okay though, and he will be allowed to continue by referee John Mike Basinang. Of course, head injury protocols mean that Ariola is going to have to step off the pitch at least for a few minutes, or a few seconds rather. And Don Bosco momentarily are going to be down to 10 players only. One-Tigig will definitely try to take advantage of that numerical superiority while they have it. It's a numerical superiority that they thought they should have had already from that penalty win. But it was a yellow card, not a red. Dangerous play here from Traore. Ball given straight to Hartman. Reichelt is going to be found. No, it's Ishii who gets to the ball first. If that ball got to Reichelt, he would have had an open goal. Don Bosco still down to 10 men. And One-Tigig could take real advantage here. They've been the better team when it was 11 versus 11. And while it's 10 versus 11, they could do some permanent damage. Ariola is still on the sideline. Mark Hartman. Smart inside pass to Casemiro. Back outside to Olibias. Casemiro loses control of the ball. But Don Bosco Garelli just feeling the effects of that disadvantage. Losing their left back, who's still on the sideline. It's been quite a while now. Still hasn't been allowed back in. Daisuke Sato is going to go for the cross. And Don Bosco still opting to play out from the back. You have to commend them for their bravery. But it's just inviting pressure constantly from One-Tigig. Pressure which is paying off, because they keep winning back the ball in high positions. Here's Daisuke Sato. Cross to Reichelt. Slightly overhit, but Reichelt is going to keep it in play. Hartman curling cross. It was Stephen Hom nearly at the end of it. Oh, and Sato trying to find Reichelt. Ariola, by the way, has finally been allowed back on the pitch, so it's now 11 versus 11 once again. And Ishii is out of his goal line. Here's Reichelt down the right. Cross to Hiraishi. Crucial touch from Traore. It could have been 5 there. Really poor clearance from Ishii as we see a diving header from Stephen Hom. Oh, Reichel was onside but couldn't get that under his control. Minutes now, 4-0 in favor of Taguig FC. Goals from Patrick Reichel in the first half to make it 1-0. Then a goal from Sato and a Giemang. 2 assists from Mark Hartman before Reichel converted another. It was a penalty to make it 4-0. That's why the scoreline reads the way it does. Again, I'm your commentator, Diego Cordero, calling match number 49 of the PFL for you. Here's Hiraishi. Combining with Casemiro, Hiraishi is gonna make it 4. No! Somehow it stays at 4. I was gonna say nearly made it 5. Excuse me, not 4. But it was good play once again from Taguig. Hiraishi combining with Casemiro, the substitute. Just got a little bit too much on that lob over Ishii. And it remains 4-0. Nearly made it 5. Apologies for the mix-up. As I said, he nearly made it 4. Mark Hartman. Trivela to Aoki. There was a touch from Ariola, so it's a throw into Taguig. And don't forget that Sports Tribe is the official match ball of the Philippine Football League. But other than the Philippine Football League, catch more action as well for the rest of December in the FIFA Futsal Women's World Cup. Tickets can be found at fifa.com/tickets as we enter the knockout stage of that tournament. So much good futsaling action yet to come. Hiraishi. Oh, good touch. Good pirouette. He's still Hiraishi towards Aoki. Maybe one pass too many from Taguig. And the referee has blown a whistle. There's a foul somewhere in there. Referee John Mike Basinang, who's done a good job of letting the game flow. There haven't been any lengthy stoppages, and there's only been one card for that penalty. Sky just slightly darkening at the moment, and the wind starting to pick up. But it actually makes the pitch a little bit more playable, as earlier the sunlight was absolutely scorching down. Nice conditions for football. Windy. Might be a bit hard for goalkeepers actually, given the conditions. Here's Daisuke Sato. Actually, that was Hiraishi. Couldn't get to it first. Can Don Bosco build something in search of a consolation goal? It's gonna take a lot more to beat Stephen Halm on a one-on-one duel. Despite his size and his frame, Stephen Halm also has a really good turn of acceleration, which is used there. Here's Reichel for the hat-trick. The touch came from Tayori and it just took it off the path of Patrick Reichel. No hat-trick just yet. Clarinho will chase this, but Olibias and Milos Kupic are gonna see it out for a throw-in. Milos Kupic, if the clean sheet remains intact, is gonna lead the Golden Glove race during the Christmas break. Still quite a lot of football to be played though. But he is currently tied with Alfredo Cortez of Kaya for the Golden Glove race. So they have 5 clean sheets each. But Milos Kupic has done it with 2 less games than Cortez of Kaya. Hartman, Casemiro with time and space to run into. The Brazilian is going to accelerate. But the touch just slightly too heavy from Casemiro. It's back with Taguig though. Here's Sato. Reichel peeling out to the right. Goes backwards to Hartman. Diagonal towards Sato. Casemiro! Oh, the finish was wide, but it went straight to Sato and he gets his second goal of the game. The volley from Casemiro was mishit. But it was a gift to the left back. And it's now 5-0 in favor of Taguig FC. Daisuke Sato getting his brace. The header into the ground was just too much to deal with for Traore. Here was that sequence once again. Sato, the lucky bounce from the volley straight to his head. All he had to do was nod it down in towards the net. Nothing that Don Bosco could have done about that. 5-0 in favor of Taguig. They're also coming off that 10-0 win over Tuloy. Goals coming everywhere for the White Shirts. Daisuke Sato, by the way, has 2 goals and also an assist. So that means that he's making a really strong case for man of the match. That could still change though in the last 25 minutes or so. Hartman was looking for a teammate, but there was no one in the penalty box. So just referring once again to our league table, Taguig FC are gonna end 2025 in the most powerful position in the league at first place. When you're looking at the live standings, they're in first place, 2 points ahead of Cebu, also with 1 game played less than Cebu. Of course, game cancellations mean that not every team has played the same amount of games, but that will eventually even out sometime in the future. Chance may be here for Don Bosco. Oli Bias cleaning up that dangerous attack from Don Bosco. And Milos Kupic is still yet to be tested really by any effort from an orange shirt. But just referring to our league table once again, at the bottom, it's still Tuloy, Don Bosco, and Mendiola with 3 points apiece. Nothing to separate them after one entire round 1. Of course, we still have one more round 1 match day, but nothing to separate those 3 teams. Philippine Army find themselves rock bottom with 0 points. And then from 10th to 8th, 3 points apiece for the teams I just mentioned. Then from 7th all the way to 4th, only 4 points separate the teams Kaya, Aguilas, Maharlika, and Stallion. And at the top of the table, Taguig, Cebu, and Manila Digger separated by 4 teams. But all 3 of those teams have played different amounts of games. Manila Digger, of course, had that international campaign in Cambodia, which is why they've not played as many games as the other counterparts of the PFL. Cebu also had that Shopee Cup campaign and will have it this Wednesday when they host Selangor here in the Rizal Memorial Stadium. Back to the PFL though, here's Aoki. Low cross. He's gonna win a corner kick for Taguig, and they've been effective from this in this match. The deliveries of Hartman just so hard to deal with if you're Don Bosco. It will be an out swinger once again from the number 20.
Leave it. Leave it. Leave it out. Leave it out.
Hartman into the danger zone towards Akoto. Couldn't get any clean contact on that cross, however. Here's Hartman. Is he going to send it in once again? Oh, backspin delivery from Hartman. He's going to find Reichelt. Could have been his hat-trick moment. Thought for a moment there that it was going to become 6-0 in favor of Taguig. Another chance maybe here for Casemiro. Doesn't get on the end of that. Just over 20 minutes now for the rest of this match. So chance maybe here for Don Bosco. Oli Bias using his pace to his advantage, cleaning up that loose pass. 20 minutes for Don Bosco to search for a consolation goal, because at this point, not enough time left and a steep scoreline. you'd imagine any goal from Don Bosco would just be a consolation. Substitutions also being readied by the two teams. Both coaches rotating their lineups with 5-0 as the scoreline. Here's Casemiro, who's going to race onto this. Gets to it before Ishii, but the touch was loose. Again, goals from Reichelt and Sato, 2 each. And then 1 from Agiemang. It's the reason why it's 5-0. Again, I'm your commentator, Diego Cordero, for this matchup between Don Bosco, Garelli United, and Taguig FC. Milo Skupic hasn't been that involved this evening. That would be a good thing if you're the defense of Taguig. Would be his 6th clean sheet of the season. So Oma mishit that straight to Arañas, but there you see it once again. Hard-working counter pressure from Taguig. Don Bosco unable to respond to that pressure whenever they get the ball back. Because you just see whenever Don Bosco momentarily get the ball, you have white shirts intensely running towards the ball. Here's Reichelt, unable to take it down into his stride, but he wins a corner kick. It's going to be Michael Sims coming on for Don Bosco. Meanwhile, it's going to be Kurt Dizon for Taguig. Clarino and Kira Ishii, the 2 left wingers actually, are going to check out for this match. In by Hartman, who was met by Reichelt, but he couldn't get it goalward. Possible counterattack here for Taguig, but Soama is there to clean up. Clean sheet at the moment for Taguig. Still intact. They've limited Don Bosco Garelli into not even creating any big chance. That's how good their defense has been in this game and in the season so far, because Taguig's defense is the best in the entire league. Here's Reichelt from a tight angle. It's going to go for the cross, but no one there. Kurt Dizon's following up. Excellent footwork from Kurt Dizon. 2-on-1, but he wriggles away. Crossed in to Casemiro, but he couldn't get it on target. Ayoki bundled over. Purple haze just coming over the Rizal Memorial skyline at the moment. Beautiful conditions for football. Of course, we have one more game coming up. That's a mistake that nearly fell to Reichelt. Reichelt, I think he was surprised more than anything that that ball actually came to him. As I was mentioning, there's one more game tonight. Tuloy versus Kaya. Kaya will aim to bounce back from that 2-0 loss from Manila Digger and their midweek loss to the Stags in Singapore. 5-3 was the final scoreline. 2 losses on the bounce for Kaya. Not something you'd say too often over the past few years or so, but that's the case. Tuloy, however, also coming off a 10-0 loss against Taguig last week. And they're gonna want they want to give themselves a better showing. Hartman going for the shot. Ishii was off his line. Hartman was quick to spot that. And then his shot actually hit the advertising boards that are currently being set up for the Shopee Cup match that's going to come on Wednesday. Cebu versus Selangor. There's Michael Sims, newly introduced. Early cross is straight at Stephen Halm. So the clean sheet is still intact. And for those of you commenting, and asking where Scott Cooper is. He's actually still in the stadium, but not on the sideline. His role has been renewed. He's now a technical advisor for Taguig. Aoki trying to find Raichel, but the pass was overhit. Again, Taguig made their debut in the PFL really recently in that 2024 transition year. And last season, 2024 to 2025, they finished third actually. So they made that final series playoff, but they couldn't go further than the hurdle of semifinal. And actually, Taguig are the only team that finished in the top 4 of the PFL last season that aren't playing international football. They will be feeling that they should be a team that's representing the Philippines, given their quality. Again, for those of you wondering, the top 2 that finish in the PFL this season are going to be the representatives in international competitions. Raichel. Still Raichel. He's going to go back to Hartman. For Casemiro. Aerial ball. Quite messy before Don Bosco are eventually going to work it away. But just as I was talking about, first place is going to get a spot into a qualifying playoff for the Asian Champions League 2, plus a Shopee Cup slot. We'll confirm later on whether that's directly into the group stage or into the qualifying round. And then second place of the PFL is going to go to, or they're going to go to rather, the playoff for the AFC Challenge League, which Manila Digger are in right now. So there's a lot of incentive in the PFL, not just the championship, but international football places as well up for grabs. So Oma, Aoki, and win a corner kick to the disbelief of Don Bosco. Two more changes for Taguig FC. It's going to be Ali and Forzuelo coming on. Forzuelo actually started the season as the team's designated right back, but got a red card in their first game. It's going to be Stephen Ham and Aoki to check out. Stephen Ham, what a signing he has been for Taguig.
Number 55, Stephen Ham is replaced by number 99,
Hartman has the option of going short, Forzuelo, but he goes direct. Sato once again, nearly a replica of the game's second goal. Hartman towards the near post run of Sato. Sato also on a hat-trick. And it's not every day left back, it's on a hat-trick. So he'll definitely want that. A brace each for Raichel and Sato, who you would imagine are the two contenders for the game's man of the match. Hartman, no look pass straight into Raichel. Foul there on Patrick Raichel by Babacar. It's been a tough afternoon for Babacar, having to deal with the movement and the fluidity of the front line of Taguig. Along with that, they've had to deal with the difficult set pieces, because Mark Hartman's deliveries are so tough to deal with for any backline, because he just knows how to put it in the danger zone. And the curl he puts in his crosses are hard to deal with because they make the flight of the ball just so hard to judge. Here is Hartman's cross towards Casemiro, and he gets his cameo goal. And once again, it's a Mark Hartman assist. 6-0 in favor of 1 Taguig FC. And just as I was mentioning it, the deliveries of Hartman are so hard to deal with. Right onto the head of Casemiro. And goalkeeper Ishii had no chance there. No offside whatsoever. Casemiro timed this run to perfection. And 1 Taguig, who had the best goal difference in the league before this game started, are going to make it even better to end 2025. And what a calendar year it's been for 1 Taguig. Could add more. Here's Sooma. And still cross to Casemiro. 2 goals in 2 minutes for the Brazilian. And just like that, it's 7-0. Sooma with the assist. And Don Bosco Garelli United are crumbling to pieces. Casemiro, a few minutes ago, had no goal to his name. Now he has a brace. An equal tally for the evening with Sato and Reichel. So there are now 3 really good contenders for man of the match. All 3 have good cases as to why they should get it. Let's see, with just under 10 minutes left, if any are able to get their hat-trick goal. Reichel stayed onside. Olibias. Oh, Hartman losing out to Sims, but he's had 3 assists. So Hartman's also had a really good afternoon. Yamaguchi was fouled there. Still the sole yellow card of this match came in that penalty. Other than that, John Mike Basinang has not had to do much bookings in this match. It's going to be Dahan checking on for Michael Barabi. And Tanaka is also checking in for Ariola. Hartman now leads the assist tally of the PFL. He has 12 assists. That's 2 more than the second place Galiana Trujillo from Stallion, who has 10. And Hartman didn't even start the season as the starter for 1 Taguig. He's already made his impact on the team. Pass looking for Michael Sims is overhit, and it's going to be picked up easily by Pete Forsuelo. Smart pass and field by Hartman. Again, there are 2 Hartmans currently involved in 1 Taguig. You saw earlier in the pre-match interview, Darren Hartman, part of the coaching staff of 1 Taguig. Casemiro, Olibias. Dizon unable to control it. Don Bosco are gonna search for this consolation goal. But that's over physical play there. Guy just getting too much on Sato. Actually, it was Sato who was adjudged to have been the culprit of that foul. So it's going to be a set piece to Don Bosco Garelli. Here's the replay. It's actually a lot of pushing and shoving. One thing, you have only conceded twice in this PFL season. Will Don Bosco make it 3? it falls awkwardly in the penalty box, but Forzuelo eventually makes the clearance. The defenders, and especially the goalkeeper of Montague, are gonna really want that clean sheet. They're gonna make it should they get a clean sheet. Yet another in this campaign. They've had so many already. Foul there on Ali from the substitute Tahan. Mark Hartman this time is not going to send it into the penalty box. At 7-0 up. Montague are in no rush to add even more. So they're already huge tally. But here's Reichelt on a hat-trick, of course. Crossed in, no one there. Cleared by Tahan. Yamaguchi. Clever flick over Forzuelo. Don Bosco have only scored 3 goals this season. Yamaguchi scored 1 of them. Guy, he's gonna go for the long range effort. But that was overly ambitious from the number 8. Coach, by the way, of Don Bosco is really angry at something from his team. Not too sure what. He has plenty to be frustrated about given the way things have gone this evening. It's back to the drawing board for Don Bosco. Again, I did mention their next game is against Philippine Army. And if you are Don Bosco, you'll be imagining that that's your best chance at 3 points since that win over Mendiola a few weeks ago. Don Bosco still have that match against Manila Digger to close round 1. That match was cancelled because of the typhoon. Olibias, Casimiro, back to Olibias. Kurt Dizon goes for the cross in towards Reichelt, but he couldn't make any solid contact on it. So the hat-trick is going to continue to elude the number 29. Again, for those of you who missed it, Sato, Reichelt, and Casemiro are all on a brace, and that was complemented by a lone goal from Aguiemang. That's the reason why it's 7-0 to Taguig. Again, this has been Diego Cordero calling the action for your match number 49 of the 2025 to 2026 PFL season. Olibias loses out, but wins it back. Would imagine that there's not going to be a lot of minutes to be added on. Not a lot of stoppages in this game. Confirmation from the 4th official, Chris Smell Kayabyab, is that there will be 2 minutes of additional time. Casemiro. Still Casemiro to Hartman to Casemiro. Nearly the hat-trick moment for the Brazilian. Ryan Lim is going to get a run out. The talented youngster of Taguig. It was actually revealed to us by a colleague, Jing Ham Lang, that he was speaking to the coaching staff of Taguig, and they were really amazed at how talented Ryan Lim was, with one of them even saying that he's one of the best talents they've seen. That's how highly they regard him. Ryan Lim was a part of that Ateneo setup. Still really young. And already in the professional football scene in the Philippines. Reichelt, Bias, looking for the return pass but couldn't find Casemiro. Ryan Lim is having to make quite a long wait there on the sideline. foul from Sooma. Ryan Lim is going to check in. Well, before that, there's the confirmation of the 2 additional minutes. He's going to check in for Oli Bias. Oli Bias, by the way, when the afternoon started, Oli Bias had the most minutes from anyone in One Taguig. And he's played 90 minutes. I'm sure he still holds that record coming into the Christmas break. And that's how important Oli Bias is to this team. Chance maybe here for Don Bosco, straight at Milos Kupic. The former Serbia U19. It looks like he's gonna keep that clean sheet record, make it 6. Good flick from Sooma. Ryan Lim's first touch. Sooma is such a nifty player. Takes care of the ball so well, and he has a really high technical ceiling. And it was on show there. Hartman reverse pass to Sooma, to Casemiro, back to Sooma. Sooma just hits the side netting. Nearly made it 8. Some fans in the crowd actually thought that he went inside, but it was the side netting. Celebrations cut short of some of the fans in Rizal Memorial Football Stadium. Probably the last chance of this match. Just 20 seconds to go now before the conclusion of this one. Taguig FC are gonna go and sit on the top of the PFL food chain for at least a month or so, as we have the SEA Games approaching. So the league is gonna take a hiatus for Christmas and New Year. Early Merry Christmas and New Year as well to everyone watching. Of course, this isn't our last match of this evening. We still have one more. It'll be Kaya versus Tuloy. And enjoy it while it lasts, because we are about to enter the Christmas break. Full time here at the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium. The full time was referee John Mike Basinang. 7-0 in favor of One Taguig FC. Really strong showing from the championship aspirants, it must be said. A brace each for Reichelt, Sato, and Casemiro. Complemented by a lone goal by Isaac Agemang. Hartman with 3 assists as well. That is why it ended 7-0 for Don Bosco Garelli United naman. Still have 2 more games left in round 1 against Manila Digger and Philippine Army. With the one against Philippine Army being one that they probably fancy themselves in. But it's back to the drawing board for the year end for Don Bosco. And kickoff for the next match will be at 7 p.m. between Kaya and Tuloy. That will be an interesting one as well. But for this one, there you have it. Dash wrapping up here for match number 49. I was your commentator for this one, Diego Cordero. But stay tuned for the final PFL match of 2025 coming up shortly.
on the win, sir. What are your thoughts on today's game, and do you have any message you'd like to share with the fans?
Obviously, today's game again was a great, good performance, fighting and also with the ball. I think Garelli came with a decent game plan, staying low with the 5 in the back, and they had an idea. I think we adjusted early on very good and then break them down. We needed that first goal, and we knew if the first goal happens, the others will just follow. And yeah, I think we're finishing on first, right? Am I correct? We're finishing first now, 2025. It's something that we have to take with us over the holidays and keep going. I think it's a role we like. We are the ones to be hunted now. We are like the ones to be beaten now. And from now, it's just ours to be taken, and we just have to keep going and all the way till the end and get the title.